Okay, we are live. Welcome, welcome. We got a few folks in the chat, and we have Alan with us here again. Been a guest a few times. We're gonna talk tonight about Discover is the plan, maybe a few other topics, whatever comes up. Alan was just telling me that, Alan, you were just telling me you're planning to maybe start making some content, and you wanted to focus on doing real investigation.
Yeah, I wanted to focus on presenting more of like a broader video on like presenting both sides of what an argument could be, and less of like the one-sided nature of how it's presented from either the globe standpoint or the flat Earth standpoint. I'd like to combine the two and just let people make up their mind for themselves, that kind
Yeah,
of
I
thing.
dig that. I really do. I really want to see you share your findings from your point of view, because like my audience here, they've seen me share my point of view. I want to see from your point of view, and hopefully the people in your crowd will watch, and maybe you can inspire them to do the same thing, which is get out there and find out what's really going on, right?
Because something's definitely going on, Will we ever get to the bottom of it? Who knows? But
well, we'll get to the bottom of a few things. I think we can find one at a time. We'll find a few things. Some of the deeper mysteries we'll never get to the bottom of. But easy stuff we can do. So tonight, let's do. It's not super easy. I'm gonna call this a medium stuff. The medium stuff is Alan discovered, or brought up the question, I should say. The question is, we've all seen this one behind me. You can't really make it out well right now. The moon passing in front of the Earth as filmed by the Discover satellite. And Alan's point was, or what you pointed out was, there's a green band on the moon. And right there on the website where they show the picture, they explain why that is. It's because they take a red, a green, and a blue photo separately, and then they combine those. And so they're like 20 seconds apart or something like that. And because of that, the moon moves while they're taking the pictures. Right? And that all makes sense. Makes sense, yeah. And so then what Alan pointed out was, there's also photos of the solar eclipse, the shadow of the moon going across the Earth from the Discover. And we don't see a green band on that. Right? And so why don't we? So, you ready to investigate?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I've spent a few days on this. What's this? Hi, Leo. We're going to look at the Discover satellite. Let me share my screen, and I want to share that screen. Go. All right. And so you were looking at a picture. I got a couple of them here. Let's see. Here's the one of the moon passing in front of the Earth, and I got the eclipse. You can barely make it out, but the eclipse is right there in the middle. Can you see that right there?
Yep.
And then here is a colored version of the eclipse right there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's good, right? Yeah, and sure enough, I looked at this. Actually, what I did first was, like you did, Alan, I downloaded the image from NASA, and I don't see any green. I looked at it 12 different ways. I don't see any shift. I don't see any color shift. But on the moon one, it's very obvious.
Yeah, and all the moon ones, it's super like distinct. You see it right away.
Super obvious. Yeah, it's a big old fat band. And so that led me to a couple of questions. One of the questions that I had was, why don't we see it on the clouds?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but I wasn't sure about. Yeah, that's a good question. Good.
Yeah, why don't we see it on the clouds? I mean, clearly the moon moves faster than the clouds do, but the clouds move also And so I did some back of the envelope calculations, and I even broke out a little simulation, and I looked, and I convinced myself that we should see the clouds moving. And the Earth, the land masses, like I'm showing Australia right there. That's Australia.
Oh, the land masses too, huh?
We should see Australia moving.
Interesting.
From red to green to blue. As they take those 3 shots, there's enough time difference between those. We should see something, maybe a pixel, right? But we just don't. And if I zoom in here, let's pick a cloud. Let's pick a cloud. I don't know, here's a cloud, right? There's a little bit of color weirdness. I don't know if you can make it out. Let me get in really up in there.
Oh,
So
I do see it, yeah.
There's some color weirdness, but it's not. Is that a red shift or a green shift, right? Neither. It's just noise, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, it's indiscernible.
There's some red, there's some blue, there's some green. It's
some purple. It's a purple shift.
Purple. Right. Okay. What we're looking at here is I downloaded the source images as separate colors and combined them myself. So these are the source images. And actually we can see just the tiniest shift maybe. Actually, right here in the highlight, this is something that I've also noticed. Right here in the highlight.
Yeah, they call that a glint. I saw that on the gallery.
They call it a glint sometimes. When it's super sharp, they'll call it a glint. This was just a regular, this is the sun reflecting off the ocean, right? And when we look at that in the different shots, it seems to kind of move. And the glints, when there's a really sharp glint, that definitely moves, but the clouds don't move. You with me on that?
Yep.
So that left me with a mystery. And, you know, I think old Alan would have said that proves it fake, right?
I mean, you know.
That means it's faked. It's all fake.
It's a fair assumption.
Right. But I'm hoping that the new Alan says, well, that's a puzzle.
Yeah, new Alan says, interesting. What could make it work like that and it be real instead of just being absolutely fake? Okay,
so yeah, I spent several hours with this data set, scratching my head going, I don't get it. This doesn't make sense. And then it hit me. This data set is not the raw data set. This data set has been processed by NASA already. You see this white band around here?
Yep.
They added that. They cut out the circle of the Earth. That's one thing that I knew that they did. You know, I'd seen that, said that they had done that. And I thought that's all that they did. But I was like, these clouds, they don't line up. Maybe there's something going on here. And so I downloaded the actual raw data, which is also available. And here's that same shot. I haven't combined it as red, green, and blue in this one. I kept them separate. Here's that same data. This one, no, it's this set here. This is that same photo, I believe, that we were just looking at. And immediately you'll see that the planet's on its side. You see that? Australia is sort of sideways.
Yep.
Okay, in the raw data for this image, that's how it was oriented. And one of the things that they also do in that, they do give, yes, let's highlight this comment. I didn't know they give raw images. Yes, and I'll tell you how to get those. They're free. You can get them. It takes some work, though. They don't give it to you as a JPEG. So on this image, it has been rotated, and they added that mask. And what else? They adjusted the clouds.
So this is on the raw?
This is the raw. This is what we call 1A. This is 1A. This one is 1B. They call it Epic 1B. And Epic 1B, they've masked out the outside, they rotated the Earth, and they apparently have lined up the clouds. I don't know how they lined up the clouds. I think what they do is they know the rotation rate of the Earth, and they just back that out of the calculations to move the Earth back. Like
now,
digitally.
that'd be something you could do with like an algorithm, right?
Yeah, sure. You could work the math to do that. I mean, NASA's completely capable of working that math. So here it is, the raw as taken from the camera. And I've processed this. I've only processed it to turn it into a PNG file, which is their data. It comes in as a floating point, single channel. And so I take it and I turn it into an integer single channel so that we can display it in here. No big deal. I mean, whatever. So that's what I do. Now let's take a look as the three bands. You can see here, these are the three. These photos were taken only in these three colors. And there's red, green, and blue here in no particular order. Actually, I have sorted them in order. I sorted them in the order that they were taken. The oldest photo is at the top and the newest photo is at the bottom. So as I go, this is the oldest photo. As I click, we get slightly newer and slightly newer again. And I don't know if you can see that. Let me just go from here to here. You definitely, I think, can see that. Can you see that it moves?
Yeah. Yep.
The Earth moves. The Earth rotated while they were taking the pictures.
Okay.
And another thing I had to do, I should also mention, I had to line these up to get it this good because they're off by a few pixels. The circles don't line up in the original three images that they took. They're a little bit offset. So you do have to do a little bit of shenanigans to line them up. And I've done my best here. So that's one of the things, Alan, I was going to say. Yeah, good question, Leo. Alan, I was going to say something you could do is you want to launch into your own deep investigations. What I would do is give you these, since I processed them, you take the raw ones and combine them yourself like I've done, and you line them up because like maybe it's the way I've lined them up that is making it look like the Earth is rotating, right?
I mean, I trust you know what you're doing, but yeah, I'll definitely look into doing that myself too.
So let's zoom in now. Now, so like I was hunting for that green offset on the clouds and not seeing it. So let's pick a cloud here. Is that a cloud or is that a glint? That's got to be a cloud, right? That's a nice sharp cloud. So if there's an offset, the cloud will move. And sure enough, it does move. So you can absolutely see the cloud moving. And so that brings us now that we've solved that puzzle, the puzzle of why don't the clouds have a color shift to them? They would, except apparently NASA has processed the images to remove that. What about the eclipse? What about the shadow?
Yeah, seems like they tucked that one away too.
I think actually the shadow is a simpler explanation. I think it just comes down to the first thing that I told you when we started talking about it, which is where's the edge of that shadow?
Yeah, it just kind of fuses or kind of melds into
it. No, you can't tell, and so that's why you can't really see the band, is because it's so soft. Let's see, which way does the shadow go? We can answer that. It's going over time. The shadow is going like down and to the left, right? It's going down and to the left. Everything is though. All the clouds are going down and to the left. But let me ask you this. You tell me this. Does the shadow move faster or slower than the clouds underneath it when I do that?
The shadow should be moving faster.
Does it? That's the question. Does it move faster or does it move slower? I would say, let's look at this cloud right here. Let's look at this cloud. boop, did the shadow, hold on, did the shadow overtake the cloud? There we go. I think maybe we can see it on both images now. Have to zoom out maybe a little bit. Okay, this little cloud right here with this like hand coming out. There's like a hand on there. See the hand?
Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of like a bird, and that's a bird's claw, right? That's what that is.
It's something.
I totally see a bird now.
I see what you're talking about. But
so if the shadow catches up with the bird's foot, then the shadow is moving faster than the clouds.
Yeah.
So here's the shadow, and here's the foot. So definitely the shadow, I say the shadow is moving faster than the cloud.
Yep.
Okay, so that what we would look for next is the shadow moving like relative to the cloud in between the frames, I suppose, is the last piece of this puzzle, right? The red, green, and blue. And so you tell me between this image and this image, is the shadow covering more of the cloud than it was before?
Swap back between them again.
I'm toggling them on and off.
I can't tell.
It's pretty subtle.
Yeah, it's too hard for me to tell with.
Let me zoom in. It is super hard to tell. Also, these are different color bands, so it's super hard to tell. I could boost maybe I could boost the contrast. Let's do that. Image. Now let's do layer. Where's the color stuff? Oh, colors. It's under colors, of course. Brightness, contrast. Let's take the contrast and crank it way up, and maybe the brightness also. Contrast. Come on. Let's make the clock go away. Is that the foot? Boop. Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Okay, there's the foot. And yeah, I would have to do the same brightness contrast. Let me undo that brightness contrast. I have to memorize what I do. Colors. Okay, let's take the contrast and to 50 and the brightness to 100. That'll work. 150. Boom. And there's the little foot that we're looking at. And then let's do this one. 100 brightness, we said, and 50 contrast. Boom. Okay, so the question is, I'm going to now toggle between, let me zoom in a little bit also. There's our cloud, and the foot is right here. Is the shadow overtaking that foot in that time?
Yeah, looks like it's moving through, right?
I think it is.
It's getting darker in the second image, and it's lighting up where it was previously dark. So it appears to be.
So I think it is. So I think that green shift that you're looking for is here. It's in the image. The problem is just that it's such a subtle band, right? Let's zoom back out again and look at the shadow. There's the shadow. It's just feathers so softly. Oh, Sphera, you're late. You missed the bird foot. Sorry. You missed the bird. I'll show you the bird foot. Here we go. There's a bird, and that's his foot. That's proof that it was photoshopped right there.
Yeah, classic bird in the cloud, dude.
Oh yeah, come on, man. No cloud could possibly. No natural cloud could.
Have you seen the ones where they spell out like the word sex and stuff in it and like weird stuff like that? Have you seen those?
Yeah, sure. That's what I'm joking about. I mean, there's no way a cloud could look like that naturally.
Yeah.
Except it looks like a bird. I mean, yeah, totally.
Oh, dude, I totally see it now. It looks kind of like a pelican or something.
Yeah.
What are those ones, like a flamingo? You know,
Yeah. It's just totally, that's absolutely a bird. I
pelicans,
see
not
stuff
even
in
close to a flamingo.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see it now. I didn't at first, but I totally see it now.
Yeah, he's got his wings
Very
up, right?
yeah, it's very eagle-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's photoshopped, bro. I think we just uncovered the mystery.
That's the mystery right there. Okay, so what that's my investigation. That's what I found, and I will give you all of this data and show you where I got it.
Ooh,
So
yeah, I got it, or I got the email from it. I downloaded
let's talk
some.
about, and for the crowd here, where did I put my data? Right here. Let's put it over here. So there's a, let me share this, get link. Anybody can look at this. I'll put it here in the chat. I think they'll let me put a link. Okay. And there's a document that explains, there's some pictures and where I got the pictures. And this is how you go and get the data. If you, the actual raw data, by the way, this is what I thought was the raw data that isn't actually raw. You want the real raw data, go here. Just hit that link. Okay, and the Epic 1A is the raw data. 1B has been processed. So if you want to make the pretty pictures, right? If you want to do the color combination yourself and make the pretty pictures, 1B is what you want because they've lined it up. The 1A has not been lined up yet. So you just go here and you can say, I think right here, yeah, okay. Right here, you can type like a search string. And so you can narrow it down. So this is 2016, July 5th, and then hour 4, which I got just because this one. I went on the gallery view and found this one from there. This is what, you know, their processed image that they give. I found that, and then I used that. The name is right here. So I used that, punch it in here, and then you can, right here, download this data. And you do have to register. You just have to register, though. You click the thing and you fill it out and put an email in, and then you're good. Okay, what else do I want to show you? I want to show you what you got to do with it then. So here's a block of data that I downloaded, one of those files. Can you guys see that? Let me, maybe, can I do this to blow it up? How do I make, how to make the font bigger? Can you guys see this okay? I mean, I don't know how much you want to see it. It's code.
I can see it all right.
Okay. Okay, so this is a Python script. You will need to install these 3 libraries as well as Python. And then you import this H5 file. An H5 file is, I don't know who invented it, but it's got multiple images in it as well as some other data. And Leo had a question, and we'll get to that answer now, which is you open the data, and here we go. In the data is a list of images. And yeah, you don't need to, you can just run this if you want, or just ask me and I'll give you the images. They're up there too. Okay, but what's interesting you'll want to know is the Discover takes photo in the different colors, and then it just sends those down. And when it sends it down, it sends the colors, and it tells you what frequency band it is, and also what time it was taken, and a bunch of other data. So here I'm just outputting as I grab band 443 nanometers, right? So that'd be that's the red, I guess. and then the green and the blue. I believe that's right. And what I'm printing out here, because the piece of information I found interesting, other than the data, was exactly when was the photo taken. So I'm printing out here the what they call sidereal time, sidereal. Oh, I didn't even put the name of it, but it's yeah, sidereal. It's like apparent sidereal time, and that seems to be in hours. So the sidereal time, you know, time based on the stars, 23 hours, 0.3889. And this one is 23 hours, 0.37387, right? So this is the exact time these photos were taken. I should say begun. I think this is the time the photos were begun. And it takes a while to actually finish. And so what we can do is ask, what's the time difference between the photos? So the first one taken was the 551 nanometers, right? The green. Right, now, come on. Get the whole number. So that's the time it was taken. And then the next image taken was this one. You can see that's less than this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to subtract those. And I came out minus because I did it backwards, so I just flip that. Okay, that many hours apart. So they're 0.0075 hours apart. What is that in minutes? Right, there's 60 hours in a minute. I mean, 60 minutes an hour. So they are 0.45 minutes apart. And how many seconds is that? 27 seconds. So those two images were 27 seconds apart, it seems like. And it's not super duper consistent, I don't think. Let's take the next two just to check. I think I've seen lots of different numbers for these things. No, it still looks like about the same. Yeah, 27 seconds also. Okay, so 27 seconds later, they took the next one. 27 seconds, they took the next one. And so that's what I have found out. And so let me kick it to you then. What can I provide to you so that you can pick it up from here and dig as deep as you want into this data?
Oh, well, I think you provided everything. The Google thing that you sent me was pretty helpful. I'll definitely be able to convert the raw stuff now, and then
Yeah.
show me
For the
where to
crowd, I'll also point out that there's the document, and there's also these subfolders where I've put these XCF files are these GIMP image files, and here's the raw PNGs. If you want to just like get the data and not have to run Python, right, to make the data. Yeah. So that's that one. And then this is the one from a few minutes later. I did that. And then here's the B versions. I also got the B version so you can compare there. Actually, I got the B versions first. And then here's the moon ones. I only have A's for the moon. At that point, I had realized the B's were not any good. Like, I did want to show my combined image. Here, let me actually load that into there it is. Boop, boop. There you go. This is what it looks like unprocessed raw if you just combine them. And then you can see huge color band shift on the moon, and also just on everything. Right? It's just everywhere. But a lot of that, honestly, is because even the Earth itself is not lined up. I don't know if you can tell. That side's pretty fuzzy. Oops, you got to find something really sharp. This edge is pretty sharp. You can see those images aren't lined up. The blue is way over here, right? The red and green look like maybe they're lined up.
Yeah.
So that is a deep dive into what's available on the DSCOVR.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I couldn't even find the raw stuff until you linked it to me.
It took some searching to find it. That first link that I found was a broken link. It was old.
Oh yeah, I would have never even found that link. The first one you sent me.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. Where else might you want to go with it? If you really want to dig deeper, what else might you do? I'd say, and I did a little bit of this myself, but I really do want to leave it to let you do it. Is I would ask, like from this photo to this photo, I'd ask how much time had passed. How much time had passed, right? From here to here, find that out. And then I have a little selection there. Let me select none because it's sparkling. How much time had passed? And then I would get in there really close and measure how many pixels did it move. Like how many pixels per minute is the moon moving, and how many pixels per minute are the clouds moving? Just, find that out, and then go in here to these little subframes and ask how many pixels per minute are they each moving in these little subframes, and see if it matches up.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 seconds isn't enough time to see the clouds shift or move. Only the Earth's rotation can be perceived. I think actually, no, you can find the clouds moving around. As I was trying to line this stuff up, I was getting in there and just trying to find a feature and like really get it lined up. And the clouds are just all moving around. So not a lot, but I think you can see some. It's also hard to tell because the colors are different, right? This is 3 different colored bands: red, green, and blue, and maybe the clouds are different brightnesses in the different bands. But yeah, 30 seconds apart, and then let's say it's a minute, right? From the first one to the last one, these are a minute apart from there to there. Like we hear it all the time. The Earth is moving at the equator, is moving 1,000 miles per hour. So this is what 1,000 miles per hour looks like in 1 minute. So if that cloud is going really fast relative to that, right? What would a fast cloud be? 100 miles an hour? Maybe 200? It would be moving a tenth of this, which is probably not super perceivable. Yeah, I mean, let's get in on a cloud and take a look at one. Well, let's look at this spirally one, because that should be moving pretty fast, right in there, right? I don't know. It's a couple pixels in it.
Can you show me real quick how you would measure the pixels between toggling those 2 off? Like, what would you do to mark it on the other layer?
Yeah. What was I doing? Well, let's use this. Let's use this. The eye of this little storm here, right? How far does that move? So what I was doing was I would pick one of the images and then just like pick something distinctive and draw a little box on it, just a selection box.
Yeah.
So that when I hide that layer, so that I'm looking at this layer now, and then I use the measure tool to go from this corner to where I would have put that corner on the other eye is that far. And then right down here, it tells me it moved 3.2 pixels.
All right.
Yeah, there's a good one. Leo's got a really good question. This is what I would do. If I were you, Alan, and you wanted to dig into this, you do like I just did. You say, okay, that was about 3 pixels per minute, give or take, was what we just saw. So that's that. And then do the same thing by jumping to here, which is like 10 minutes later, something like that. Mm-hmm. Find out how much time has elapsed, and then measure the distance. In fact, let's just measure it real quick. That's about 55 pixels. So at 3 pixels per minute, like what is that? 3 pixels per minute times, divided by, 55 pixels, let's say 0.5 divided by 3, 18.5 minutes apart. If it's steady, that's about 18 minutes apart. Were those pictures taken 18 minutes apart? Go find out. So that would be worth looking into. And then the question is, okay, how fast is this thing rotating? Is it rotating like 1,000 miles per hour? Pick something near the equator like I did. That's pretty close to the equator. And then measure, like use your measure tool, say how big is, maybe we'll do the top to bottom. How big is the Earth in pixels, right? And so that tells you how big the Earth is in pixels. So we can now turn pixels per minute into miles or kilometers per minute because we know how big the Earth is supposed to be, right? So we can now convert that into a real world speed and measure how fast is this cloud seeming to move.
All right, cool.
And what we would expect to find, right? We can hypothesis test now, right? The hypothesis is that that things near the equator move at approximately 1,000 miles an hour, and things farther from the equator move less. In fact, we should see stuff in front of the pole. There's a pole right there, right? You see the pole?
Mm-hmm.
It's the point that sort of everything's rotating around. The stuff in the back is going up, and the stuff in the front is going the other way, right? It's all it's doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that if there was a distinctive place up there, I could use those to line it up. Now that you think about it. All right. So,
well, thanks for all that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hopefully you can take it away with that. Any other questions about how would I do something?
No, I think you pretty much answered everything. You gave me enough stuff to look into. I'm going to do some of the stuff by myself, and then I'll start putting out the video because I pretty much got everything that I wanted. And then you answered about the shadow thing. So what was the conclusion on that? That it's happening, but it's just super minuscule, hard to detect. You got to go through all this rigmarole to see it, but it is happening.
Yeah, that's my take on it. My take on it is that the shadow is clearly moving relative to the clouds underneath it. You can see that in the 20-minute separation shots. You can see that, that the shadow is moving relative to the clouds. And then you ask, well, is it moving within the subframes, within the color bands, right? And I'm convinced. I think it is, but it's so subtle because it doesn't have a crisp edge. Like, what are you going to measure, right?
Right.
The hard part for me was like saying, like, okay, like the eye of a storm. We could pick the eye of the storm. It moves this much. Great.
What the eye of the storm worked out great. Yeah, it's hard to say for the shadows. Because a lot of the shadows too, I don't know how many you looked at, but I looked at quite a few. They're all like different. Some of them are like barely there on the corner. So it's super hard to get anything from that. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Okay,
Well, appreciate it.
that's my take on it. Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, like for the viewers at home as well as yourself, like one of the things Alan's said, we've been talking about this for a while now, like a week or so, right? And I was like, oh, I think you have to go get the original raw data maybe to see this. And you're like, are you even sure that exists? And then you can get it. And I was like, I actually no. I've never gone to get it. I heard that you could get it, but I didn't go get it. So yeah, I went and go get it, and hopefully I've shown everybody here. Yeah, you can go get this. Go get it and look at it and pick it apart.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because the quick Google searching I did for the raw data, which admittedly wasn't very long, but I found like a couple of like Reddit topics that came up, and it was people asking for the raw data, and then people in the comments were replying saying, "Why do you want the raw data? Don't you believe what NASA's saying? Like, what are you, a flat Earth retard?" And all all this stuff, and it was like, dang, like these people have never seen the raw data either, and they're like already, you know, why are you asking for it? What makes you so special? And it's like there's this whole attitude around questioning these people, and that's what I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
something I see, and it's just like, why are you
You're
questioning my
right.
daddy? It's like, whoa, relax, dude.
You're right, and I think that attitude needs to stop. Right?
Yeah,
I wanted to see the raw data too. That doesn't mean I'm some kind of flat earther, right?
exactly, dude. Exactly, dude. The guy that was asking in the topic probably wasn't even a flat earther. He seemed super into it just based on his or post history. But anyway, yeah, I'd like to make something that kind of that presents both sides of it, and it's just like, how do you feel about it, or what can you add to it, rather than no, it's this way, and you're a retard if you don't think so. Because I think that traps us all, and I think that the argument's designed that way specifically by outside forces, that just make it that much worse to deal with.
Yeah, and this is YouTube, right? So I
Yeah.
think I think the YouTube environment is particularly conducive to an argument,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
right? Some drama, right?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't do drama, so I don't think my my channel's all that. Uh, oh my gosh, did you see that eclipse on Himawari? Um, no, but we could. We could go and look
Yeah,
this up. We have the date,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Let's check it out.
You wanna?
Yep.
Yeah, because we're looking at Australia, so that should be on Himawari. Let's see here. Himawari 8. I want real time, but maybe this will take me to. Yeah, okay. I want 2016, and I want, it was March. Was it March that we were looking at? You got Earth is Life says March 9th. So, other way. March 9. And the time. You want to tell me where to go for the time? I'm not seeing it. Should have been there if I have the right date. You have to go to the 8th, he says. Okay, because like international date lines and stuff. There it is. There it is. Oh yeah, and so yeah, this is an argument. Oh, you know what? I'm not screen sharing. I'm a moron. My bad. You guys don't even see what I'm doing. Check it out. Yeah, this is an argument that gets made from time to time, Alan. And honestly, I think it's a pretty good one. Here's one satellite that took these images, and right here's the other satellite taking the same image at the same time. You could go around and nitpick these clouds. If the clouds aren't the same, then they're faking it.
Well, if if the clouds came, from the same source, which I would assume they would if they were doing this, that you would
They'd have
expect them
to,
to be the
right?
same. Yeah, because
They'd have.
yeah.
Also, though, here's another thing.
Mhm.
This was a famous day when people were filming the sky.
Was it?
It was an eclipse.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, you go to find an eclipse that hits something, like find an eclipse that hits Japan, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee there's people who have videotape of the sky from Japan. And then you look at the clouds on this image.
Oh yeah, dog.
Compare them with their.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Like,
people have done it.
I believe that those would be consistent though. Like, I wouldn't even argue that point.
How? How
because
is that possible?
Because all the data comes from weather balloons and stuff. Like all the cloud stuff, all that comes from weather balloons. So you would expect it all to be, wrapped around the ball and put in there.
How fast do you think they can do that? How long do you think it takes them to get the weather balloon data and feed it into this program?
I mean, they've got a big budget, dude. I don't know. They could probably make it happen. I mean, if there's from my perspective, they're super invested in keep maintaining this narrative, right? And then a large inconsistency between, something this obvious would be huge, right? Like would pretty much be game over if the clouds were all different, right? So I would imagine they could come up with a way to do this really quickly, and they've got supercomputers and whatnot. So I don't, I'm sure that the clouds check out.
Yeah. Okay. So the clouds do check out, and the interesting thing is, from your point of view, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
They obviously they fake it in real time.
Yeah, I mean, do they watch it in real time, or is there like a 20 to 30-minute delay on the Himawari?
I think there's a good 10-minute delay, actually. Let's find out.
I think it's like 20 to 30.
What's the most recent thing we can get? 2220. What time? How long ago was that? That was 27 minutes ago. Is that right? Somebody had to work the math on that.
Well, who's verifying the clouds in the middle of
the ocean? It's my time, isn't it? This is my time. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I was answering that guy's question.
You snap it so they can't change it on you or something behind the scenes. So yeah, this is now 28 minutes old, this image.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
If we just keep refreshing it, we can wait until it's on auto update. So as soon as it updates, we'll see, and then we can tell you how much lag there is, right? And it's going to be on the order of 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I assume. So it's not.
Yeah, they somehow feed weather data from across the world into some kind of big simulation system and generate clouds that look like the way the clouds actually work on the ground, right? They have ground data of the clouds and they feed all that in and make a fake image.
Yep, could be. I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, I'd say that's what they'd have to do.
They have the technology, as they say in the commercial or whatever that was from.
Yeah. I think that was $6 Billion Man. No, 6 million. Sorry.
Was it? Oh, dude, yeah. I used to watch that with my mom.
6 million was a large number back then.
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. 2230, and it is just under 20 minutes old.
Cool. So yeah, about what we expected.
Mm-hmm. So they do all that in 20 minutes, every 20 minutes. And DSCOVR does it also, and they, right.
I mean, what's so hard about this image? If you okay, let's break it down then. If you had all this data, right, and you were running it all through a supercomputer simulation type thing, what would be the hard factors to produce this image here and wrap clouds around it every 20 minutes? Like
the hard part would be knowing what the clouds are. I mean, that's why this satellite exists, right? According to the narrative, according to the mainstream, the reason the satellite is up there is to see the clouds. That's what it's for. How would I get this cloud data if I didn't have a satellite in space?
They get cloud data from weather balloons and stuff too.
How would a weather balloon tell me the shape of a cloud? It could tell me the atmospheric pressure and the temperature at a particular spot.
If you had a bunch of weather balloons, could you not take pictures of them? Like, what do you mean? Like, if you had
the balloons are all taking pictures.
Like, if you didn't have cameras of them, like, do you think there's not cameras set up that do all this, that relay all the cloud data?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
No,
well, that's where. I mean,
I would say radar. I would say ground-based radar would be a better play.
Okay, well, fair enough. So there's other ways that you could do it, though.
Yeah, I think if you covered the world with ground-based radar systems, and
you'd have to cover
over the oceans, you'd have to use like ships or something.
I mean, but who's even out there to verify the cloud data on the ships, though? Like where you're seeing,
that's the thing. It just takes one person to catch you out, right? And it hasn't happened. So, yeah, Real Cygnus says local Dopplers could not complete the pic. I think if you had like insane coverage of local Doppler radar, and you fed it all that data in, I think maybe you could generate this image. I'd hate to have to. Actually, I think it would be kind of exciting to try. All the oceans, though, yeah.
The shipping lane routes are super
Arctic and stuff, like what polar bears are up there. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. That would be my best guess, though, is that they have balloons up there that take pictures of the clouds and stuff, and they just kind of wrap it around and do what they do. But if not, then whatever.
There's another possibility, Alan, that I don't know if you've ever seriously considered. It could be that there's a satellite up there taking these pictures.
Well, I used to consider that, but I don't anymore. Just that's not like I honestly I don't even think that's on the table, bro.
Right.
Like I know you do,
I think
and
you've
it's
got
like
a long way to go. I think you've got a long way to go before.
But I really don't even think that that's on the table. Like I don't think we can leave this place. I think everything they do is
right.
I
think you've made huge progress, but you've got a long way to go before satellites are back on the table.
Yeah.
And just a couple of random thoughts. Seeing a satellite doesn't mean anything, right? That's a balloon or something to you.
Seeing a satellite? Who's seeing a satellite?
You want to see film of the Himawari 8 seen from Earth?
Oh yeah, you got something?
Sure, Wolfie does that all the time.
Does he?
Yeah, it's one of his favorites because he's in Australia.
Oh, yeah. 1 sec. Let me reply to Astro. Astro, I was saying that the shipping lanes, they're all like the same. Like no one's gonna be out. You can't see where I'm pointing, but like no one's gonna be way out in the middle of nowhere to verify that's what I meant. Like the shipping lanes are all kind of the same and in the same general areas. So that's what I was talking about.
I don't know. You could, I don't know. You'd have to blanket the world with Doppler radars or make balloons that just are saturating the sky.
Yeah, what would be the holdup with the balloon? Like a lack of balloons? Like it would take a lot to do with what the quote unquote
these
satellite
balloons
does,
you're talking about, are they above the clouds?
Well, yeah.
Okay, and how much of the cloud can each balloon see in your view? What are you thinking that one balloon's photo would see?
True. Well, it would probably have like the best range directly under it, right? And then expanding outward, it would just look
like, I mean, like, can one balloon see all of Australia?
No, it would be a whole network of situation.
So you're right. That's the thing. You have to have a network of these balloons. And what do you do when the wind just blows the balloon out of the way?
It's a good question, man. I'm pretty sure
you see the swirling patterns of the clouds, right?
Well, they have a way to make they can make the balloons and stuff go back. And on the one thing I was watching from NASA, what they were saying is that they can lower it in altitude and it'll catch a different wind current and raise it to catch another one to go back, and they can kind of keep it stationary for the most part. That's
Okay.
what they were saying. So I don't know. I mean, this is all, their balloon technology. But
Right.
yeah, no, you make an interesting point. It would take quite a lot of balloons to do what I'm thinking, way more than I thought originally. Because I know they publicly say that they launch like 187 balloons worldwide every day to get weather data. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but like
Okay.
between NOAA and some other agency, there's like 187 balloons that they launch every day for weather data.
I could buy that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about with the cloud simulation would require way more than that. So
I think so. That's one of the things that I always
point.
find kind of interesting about like the line of reasoning that you're using here. It's like they'll explain to you how the satellite works and how the rocket works and all of that, right? It's all the public knowledge. They're going to shove it down your throat, but you don't buy that. But secret balloon technology that no one can figure out how that works, you're down with it. You're like, yeah, I believe
Dude,
that.
I know, right? Well, the secret balloon technology thing, I don't know if you saw the convo I was having with somebody on one of your videos. Anyway, the guy was asking me pretty much the same thing, and I linked him a video of some study that was done on spiders and how they balloon and stuff. And I
Uh-huh.
could see like the interesting parallel between how the technology would work, way more than I could see like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shoot this up in the air, and then it's gonna come around an arc and then get escape velocity in a vacuum, and then it's gonna stop and it'll be stationary with the rotation of the earth as it chases the sun as it goes through. Like that's where I'm like, all right, that's a bit much. But you get a balloon, a little electrostatic. I'm like, all right, I'll hear you out.
That's really interesting. And the difference, though, for me, from my point of view, the difference is the guy who wants to explain like the rocket and the escape velocity and the orbit and the whatever. He will explain every little detail and take me through the math, and will show me this is exactly how it works. Come on down, I'll show you the rocket. You can watch it take off, but the electrical forces raising a spider, that's just a big old hand wave. It's just like, yeah, maybe it's like spiders. I'm like, okay, show me the calculations. And
Fair enough.
like, well, we don't have calculations, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay. As long as we're here, satellites, right? You've got GPS, which is balloons also, I'm guessing.
Tower based and probably balloons, but I would say probably just tower based. And it wouldn't
Well,
even have to.
how do you do it when you're away from the tower?
Well, you lose signal. And I hear, like, I
You
don't use
don't.
GPS that
You
often.
do not lose
I hear,
GPS. I'll tell you from personal experience.
I hear that it loses it frequently, and there's all kinds of dead spots that don't work, and you go out of range of
No,
it.
no, you've been scammed.
All right, I'll have to
Dead
do
spots
some further
happen.
research on
Dead
that.
spots happen when you can't see the sky. Like, I mean, when I was in Glacier National Park, we'd lose cell phones. Cell phones are useless, right? There's no cell phone. But the GPS works as long as you can see the sky. But it was an older GPS, at least. I don't know if maybe this is not so much a problem, but you go into the trees, you'd lose the signal. You had to go out in the open and see the sky, and then it would pick up the signal.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And plenty of people, out in the middle of nowhere, out in the ocean, definitely navigate by GPS, right? They do. And there's no towers out there.
No, don't planes go into proximity mode when they go like a couple 100 miles off of the shore? Like, don't they lose signal and go into approximation mode?
Nope, they do not.
All right. I'll look
I don't know who told you that, but they do not.
I'm pretty sure that was in, I don't want to say Wolfie 6020, but it was one of those pilot guys, because it was from their video where they were, because they were, Globebusters or whatever was doing a review of it. And the guy said in the video, like, this is where it goes into approximation mode. So I'll have to double check on
Okay.
that.
You ought
This
to watch
wasn't
it
even.
again. You ought to watch it again. I think that what you
No,
saw
I want to make sure that
was
I have
they
the
go
claims right.
into where the downlink back down to the ground station is lost. Does that make sense? What I'm saying, downlink?
Where they're sending out, like they're ping back to the GPS. Okay.
The way it works is you receive the signals from the satellite. You don't send
Right.
anything to the satellite. You just receive, and
So
that
what do
tells you
you?
where you are. So you know, as long as you can see the sky, you know where you are.
So what were you saying was lost then?
Then you send a radio signal down to the ground, telling them where you are.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
when you
have to.
fly on the ocean, that'll get
Yeah,
dropped
I'll have to. Rewatch it and double check because my understanding of what was said was that
with
it
the old systems. That would get dropped.
that the
With the
GPS
newer
did.
systems, they now use a satellite link for that too, and so you don't get dropped anymore.
Interesting. Cool. Well, I'll follow up on that after we finish the satellite thing.
Yeah,
Is
you
that
can. Okay,
because
the satellite
that
thing I
was
wanted to tell you,
something.
Wolfie. Also, check out Wolfie. He numerous times has filmed the Himawari 8. He particularly likes to show the Himawari 8, shining up in the sky. It just looks like a star, really, but it's a
Oh, is that?
star
Yeah.
that holds still in the sky. The stars sweep by, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he'll film it and he'll like show that this star is holding still. That's Himawari 8, and so next to it, that's Himawari 9, and blah blah. And these tell you what the satellites are. And then at certain times of the year, the Earth will eclipse the sunlight shining on those satellites, and they blink out. And he films the sky. They blink out, and a minute later, whatever, they blink back. They're back in.
Interesting. I hadn't even heard of anyone filming satellites or anything like that. I didn't think that you could do that from the ground.
Sure, they just look like a star for the most part, unless you got a really good view of a very big. The ISS people can actually film, and you can make it out. You can make out the structure of it. You've seen that, right?
I've seen people make out the structure, and I wasn't convinced that that those were real. But I've seen like the ball of light go by fast. I've seen like
Yeah,
that kind of thing. But as far as like making out the structure, like I don't know that those are real. Like you can do that for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Definitely. I don't have a telescope to do that, but lots of people do. It's a popular one. The ISS. AstroRex says I have about 30 ISS transits. AstroRex, do you have a telescope good enough to resolve like the shape of it, or is it just like a star going by? You can stop my share. Okay, we'll let him answer when he gets his delay. Okay, so I guess that's it. Anything else you want to cover?
No, that's it for tonight, man. You got me covered on the satellite stuff.
Out of curiosity, did you go look at the eclipse last night?
I saw it on YouTube.
Cool.
Saw it
Any
on the
thoughts about
tube.
how that works in a flat Earth?
Yeah. So it doesn't have anything to do with. Yeah, well, we can get into the shadows and stuff. I mean, I could show you the videos on that. Like, but yeah, I don't know like what causes it or anything like that. But I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Okay. You're aware that it happens when the sun is on the opposite side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like you understand how it would work from a heliocentric model. We don't really have an explanation for how it works on flat Earth model, right?
We could follow up on it later. I'm not prepared to
Okay.
like give a whole
Yeah,
rundown
okay.
on it, but I've seen some
That's
stuff
cool.
on
I was
it.
just curious because it was yesterday. And
Yeah.
all right. So I guess let's call it. Alan, you're going to do some. We're looking forward to some videos from you where you're going to dig into this. And really, I'd like you to share. I'd love to see you sharing with other people of like mind. Like show them this stuff, like the moon stuff that we talked about, the far side of the moon stuff.
Yeah.
Get that out there. Like, look what I found about the far side of the moon. Hey, look, guys, it lines up. Like, you can go out there and say, look, I still think they're lying, but
well, like I said,
moon lines up.
Literally the only person actually that I was thinking about this after, we went down the whole rabbit hole of the flat fact video. I'm pretty sure she's the only person I've seen say that she found an inconsistency with the far side of the moon stuff. I don't think I've seen any flat earthers say that. And to that point, there was actually an article like a week or two ago that Jaron was talking about, and it was basically the same thing that you were saying, that because it's been consistent for so long, obviously that's proof. And like, the counterpoint was, no, it's just that they're consistent with it. It's not actually it's not necessarily proof. So
yeah, totally.
But anyway, yeah. So I don't think anyone's super worried about that. But I'm glad that you did point out that they were consistent and she was wrong, because I didn't look into it and I thought she was right.
Yeah,
and I was running with it.
So hopefully, that's a lesson, right? That's a lesson you're going to run with now. You're going to say,
that's how I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying.
Somebody says something, no matter who says it, let's check it. Let's give it a check, at least until I'm going to say, at least until you've managed to recalibrate your baloney detector. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. A baloney detector. When somebody says, the Earth is a globe, and you don't believe it, that's baloney, right? Your baloney detector is going off.
The baloney detector just reads maximum.
Right. And my baloney detector goes off when somebody says, no, the Earth is flat.
Yeah. You know what I think we should do? We got to go to the guy that made the baloney detector.
Well, that's Carl Sagan. I'm afraid he passed away.
Oh, dude. Your boy.
That was Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan invented the baloney detector, I think.
Did he really?
Yeah. He used to that was one of his speeches. He would talk about the baloney detector. And what he would say is,
Did he really?
Yes.
I never really watched any of that.
Yeah.
He was a little before my time, I think.
Mine too. I was just a little kid when he was on TV. I didn't see, I saw all this stuff on reruns. So,
oh yeah.
But yeah, the Carl Sagan's baloney detector was based on education, experts, peer review, essentially everything that is the establishment. So your baloney detector is the polar opposite, right? It's the exact opposite. Would you say that's fair?
I wouldn't say it's the exact opposite, but yeah, it's pretty close. Definitely a yin yang situation going on in there.
Right. And so hopefully I've made a small amount of progress with you here, showing that like flat fact, straight up baloney. That was no argument from you. That's straight up baloney, right?
Yeah, her claim about the one thing, what was
all
it? The far side.
The whole video was baloney.
The far side of the moon. Well, I still have to look at the what she was talking about when she was saying that the lunar. Hold on, what was she saying? It was that the way that the moon was lit in the DSCOVR images. She was saying that that's not consistent with how the craters would be lit, except for on a full moon or an eclipse, I believe. And I'll have to
it's always a full moon from the perspective of DSCOVR, right?
Interesting point. GG. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So baloney. You should just file flat fact under pure, unadulterated, uncut.
You just saved me so much time with that. I had totally
flat fact is just uncut baloney, just pure. Like the street value of that stuff is off the charts.
Uncut baloney, dude. That's a dude, pure uncut baloney, dude.
I don't know if she's serious. All right. I'm now questioning if maybe she's making fun of people. Right. And that's where my head is at now, because
dude,
such pure baloney.
You said one time that you thought that Jay Tolan guy was making fun of people.
Jay Tolan is trolling for sure.
Can you explain to me how? Like, is he like mathematically just like, rolling people or what?
Yeah.
Is that what he's doing?
He is. He did one that just made me shake my head. He did one where he actually showed the curvature of the Earth on a graph. He measured like the drop to some water over distance, and it's a parabola. He showed the graph, and then he does some hand waving after that to say no, and so the Earth is flat.
So do you think he's intentionally messing with people, or
yes, I think it's a joke.
That's fucked.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to say anything bad about anyone, like personal, but he also does this voice that doesn't seem like a normal voice. It seems like
voice,
a character.
Everyone seems to like him, but the voice thing gets me because I don't know what's going on with that, and it seems like he's doing something.
His voice, but it comes across as if he's doing a character.
Yeah, I feel the same way because, like, the math aspect, when he starts diving into that, I'm like, all right, buddy, I'll take your word for it. But just analyzing what he's saying and how like that voice thing he does, it's super weird.
There's other clues as well that he's not serious. Like, one of the things is that he was trying to, at one point he was measuring the height of San Jacinto here in California, and he was comparing it like against the height of a telephone pole.
Yeah.
And even though he's got a theodolite, we've seen him use the theodolite, he doesn't use the theodolite to measure these things. And it's like, why are you using these bizarre methods of like comparing against the height of a car and stuff to do this when we know you're equipped to measure it down to the, the millimeter?
Yeah. Super bizarre.
And it's like, and then he gets it wrong, right? He gets the measurement incorrect, and it's provably incorrect. But you would have to go and do the work to see whether it was incorrect, right? If you just accept what he says, then he can continue with the lie. Jay Tolan is trolling. In my opinion, he's trolling hard.
Yeah, I can see that. Knows. I can see that just with the voice, man.
Yeah, I was talking to Ruhif about that too, and Ruhif said that the music choices that Jay Tolan uses for his music, that had never tipped me off, but he said he thought the music was a tip.
Yeah, it definitely can be, because there's definitely something to, the using certain music when you're doing stuff, to emphasize that kind of thing. Yep. I know exactly what that guy's talking about. I'll have to go out and listen to a video of his and see what kind of music he uses.
Yeah. And so the other people we talked about, Alan, you and me, we talked about Taboo Conspiracy, right? Remember the Shadows on the Mountains?
Taboo. Oh yeah. He did an amendment to that. He did 2 amendments actually, I think. Yeah.
Has he addressed your questions yet?
I'd have to go back and watch it, but I'm pretty sure he did, because I went back and linked the on the video. I forget which one we did. It was like the second or third one ago. I went back and posted the follow-up that he did to it. But it's all good.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure he did.
Send me that link when you get it. I'd be interested in with your fresh eyes, you watch it and you tell me what you think. Because the one before, the one that you and I talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Jezza went back and talked about
straight up. It was baloney again. It was like, you can see the shadow of the earth in his images while he's saying you can't see the shadow of the earth.
Yeah. We'll go back and
so it's like,
listen to it.
What's up with that, dude?
Yeah. He seems to me more honest than Jay Tolan, though, to be fair. Because he actually does go back and do amendments to his videos. Yeah, I've seen him do it. Like even if he's been wrong about him or whatever, he'll go back and do it. I've seen it. So I think he's at least more honest than Jay Tolan, just based on the fact that he doesn't do whisper voice.
That's good. That means a lot to me. Anybody who would like admit they made a mistake makes all the difference to me.
Yeah, agreed, man.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your content. And yeah, if you want to pick up, I had told you let's put it on hold, the like film on the moon thing.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, see, I've got so many things backlogged where I'm like, where you know how you're like, so you're not quite there on satellites being on the table. I've got so many things that I'm just are like positive that just derail the whole thing. And until I go through each and every one of those, like I know it's not something you want to go through, but
Well,
I've just got
I do think
I've just got so many things where I'm like, nah, it can't be though. Like even though this specific thing checked out or it's possible, blah blah
yeah.
blah. It's like it's just my YouTube channel. I haven't really put any videos or anything on it yet, but
Yeah.
that's
Alan
that's
has
the
a
channel.
channel, but he hasn't got content yet.
Yeah, I haven't made any flat Earth videos or anything yet. I've just been observing.
Yeah. So
But I'm
make
looking
some
to.
content. I'd love to see content that really investigates things. And as far as those tough questions, some of them you're never going to answer
Yeah,
because you don't have access to
yeah,
that data. So I always say start with the ones you can verify yourself,
yeah.
right? Or another one I will suggest, like if you're going to spend some time on that film question, I like to say play Dr. Evil.
Oh yeah, I do have a question actually.
Okay, go
Slightly,
ahead.
slightly related to the film question, but not entirely. How does thermal expansion and contraction work in space, right? Because you know how they say in direct sunlight, it's like, was it like 250 degrees, 300 degrees? Now, is that like the equivalent of being in an oven and you feel that heat, or like what's going on? And then when you're in the shadow, it's immediately cold again. Like how does that work?
It's radiant heat, so not so much an oven, more like I don't know if you have like a halogen heater or standing too close to a light bulb,
Right, right, okay.
and it's just like it's hot, or like
So, but it would be affecting the metal and stuff, right? Like
oh yeah, yeah.
and on the equipment. So how does the equipment in space never get like warped or distorted, or like it just stops working, or the mechanical parts freeze or fuck up because of they're not the same size as when they went into orbit, right? Like how does that never happen? And these things are just out
It
there for
does happen.
an unlimited amount of time, it seems like. And they're like,
The
nope,
first
60
Chinese
years.
rover got eaten alive by it. Actually,
Dude, the first Chinese rover, bro.
the
Like,
first of the Chinese rovers didn't last. It lasted like an hour or something. It was pathetic. Um,
dude,
it
made in
didn't.
China, am I right? Or whatever. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
I remember just because I was at JPL that right after that, and I asked him about it. So because that's what I had heard had killed the rover, and I was like, yeah, how would you solve that? Because I was talking to the guys on the Mars rovers team, and they were like, it's a tough engineering challenge. Was really all I could get out of them, but
Yeah, dude, it's a tough engineering challenge, bro.
it is. It is. So you
But is
need.
it?
They have radiators, right? That are designed to radiate heat away, and they have cooling systems. You have to build in cooling systems to keep the stress from building up too high. So they showed me all of their stuff, but obviously they didn't have a moon lander, right? JPL didn't have one at the time, so they didn't have like an answer for that. That's why they don't have, right? That's why they can't just straight up answer and show me the blueprints, because they don't have one. They only have a Mars rover. And they agreed it's a tough engineering challenge. But I guess the Chinese have sorted it out because they've done much better
Yeah,
in
allegedly. I mean,
follow-ups.
yeah. Well, let me respond to Earth is life real quick, or the heat resistance. So I was looking at,
Resistant material.
yeah, I was looking at,
That one?
yeah, I think it was Russian ISS video, or it might have been China's actually. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was China's. Never mind. Uh, they had a bunch of cables and shit hanging out, just exposed to the open light, and like on their thing. Like that's not made out of heat resistant material,
No,
man.
that's okay. I mean,
Like
those are just cables. They're not. So what if they expand? Who cares?
I mean, wouldn't they like stop working or melt or something? Warp, deform? Like I don't know.
No.
Like how is it? How is it just going to be in
It's a
300
cable.
degree heat and then it goes into, like a shadow or something and it gets cold and it's just constantly heat? Like, how would it not break or weather or just
It
fuck
it
up?
would wear out eventually from fatigue, but right. I mean, jumper cables in the heat of summer, they work. Jumper cables in the cold of winter, they work. It's never been a problem. Right? Cables, no. More, it's the structures that are the problem, like the rigid, the box that the rover's built on, and the axle, right? The axle that the wheels are on. If the box expands, then the axle's going to get stressed and start to bend, and right. That's the problem.
Yeah, I'll have to look into
Cables and whatever.
yeah, I'll have to look further into that because just that, like, like first glance, it's like I never really thought about it until I had seen that, and they were talking about it, and they were like, look at it, like, how would this even be a thing? And I just started going, oh yeah, like that makes sense. So I thought maybe that the heat or coldness didn't work that way in space or something, but yeah, okay.
It does. It's different though because it's all radiant heat. There's no
Hmm.
convection, right? There's no wind. There's no wind chill, right?
Mm.
So that cold, that super icy cold,
It's just the heat leaving.
it's just the heat leaving you. So it's not like
Right.
it's anything pulling the heat away. There's nothing to pull the heat away. So it
Right.
doesn't like instantly flash freeze or anything.
Mm.
It actually takes quite a while to chill. That's actually one of the main problems in space is you have to try to find ways to get rid of waste heat. You can't use a fan.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that was the only follow-up I had because that was on my mind because I just said recently I'd watched something about that. So thank you.
Cool. All right. So let's call it there, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, we'll do a reconvene in a couple weeks or something. All right.
All right. Sounds good. All right.
Later.
Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you out there.
Yeah. See ya.